System laws make it all against the law. And if I tell you what I think, I'd probably break the law publishing it. Woo! Wow! The system really stinks.
I mean, the Bible is full of pedophilia.
Yeah, I mean, it's full of pedophilia.
You can see the expansion of the thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of incest in the Bible. Specifically.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, it's like, what was it? Lot's daughters, after they left Sodom and Gomorrah, they got him wasted 2 nights in a row so they could fuck him so he could have an heir.
Rock and roll.
Oh, my God.
Man, I guess, wow.
I wonder if Lot took a pretzel to his wife because she was all salt. You dip that there. And that could be where the first deli cart came from.
So cute.
It was just Lot's wife.
And that's how it becomes cute. Then the Bible's cute.
I love it. But I do think he's, you can see where he's coming from.
Yeah,
if you look at the Bible from as a literal text, it's disgusting.
He can justify all of this shit. He can cherry pick the Bible to make it say whatever he wants.
And by this point, everybody's given up their lives to him. So
Right.
you're kind of just rolling with it. But then you're also going to find out that many sects of the children of God did not fuck their families.
Yeah.
And many of the facts, they read that and they're like, okay, and they would kind of roll with it. There were not many like free love versions of the cult. You're literally just talking about the 20 people directly around David Berg were the ones really living in that family sharing bullshit.
Today's sponsor probably shouldn't be, but still is AdamandEve.com. Go to AdamandEve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs, plus a free mystery gift. And to top it all off, they'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. AdamandEve.com. Use the code LEFT at checkout. That's LEFT at AdamandEve.com. Use the code LEFT at AdamandEve.com. Now, David Berg, not content to just abuse those around him, also started forcing women, teens, and young children to send him videos of themselves dancing nude in a series he called Glorify God in the Dance. Here's his son talking about it.
Now, Dad personally was a sexy guy, and he would hug the girls and kiss them, and he would have sex with them. It wasn't just sex for sex. It was love. What he did in love, and the girls wanted to be with him. And the dad said, well, look, why don't you try to do some erotic sort of dances? Well, let's try that out and see what it's like. And so they did some. And it was sweet. I mean, they did them for Dad. And like he sort of coached them how to do it. He said, well, have the sarong on you, and then towards the end you can let it down and raise your hands up and praise to God. And he wrote some letters like Glorify God in the Dance.
Very, very explicit. He wanted 3 songs, 1 slow, get faster, then fade out. He didn't want you to be totally naked. He wanted you to have, use some. He was more into the Grecian thing that make it beautiful. But he made it very instructions from A to Z how to do it.
So he was kind of like Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, A to Z. That was the show you were on.
Yes, Thursdays NBC. It's never commer back. Because you should have seen, man, that the first version of the F is for flirty fishing.
Oh yeah, you never got there.
Rough.
Yes, he had the teeth of a used cigarette filter. I mean, how do people think he's sexy? I don't understand any of this.
You know what's really interesting? So they say the word sexy instead of like horny, because they're saying instead of saying that, and there's something about about dictatorships and cult leaders and what they do about you change the meanings of words, right? Yeah. Using the word sexy and changing it for meaning horny, right? Like saying like my boy is a sexy 5-year-old boy. Please do not isolate that.
No, it's gonna be. And
I know, I have no choice. It's already over. But the idea is instead of saying it's sexy to be horny now, right? Instead of saying him being not that he's just sexually aggressive, it's that he's sexy because he's sexually aggressive.
Yeah.
David Berg is a sexy dad. What he meant to say is my dad is a horny guy instead of my dad is a sexy guy.
Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
But the idea is that you equate it to then whenever he's horny, it means he's sexy.
Now he's sexy.
It's how Ed Larson from Round Table of Gentlemen used to operate back in the day when he was single.
I don't understand. I don't think Ed wants to be equated with that. Good God.
Well, as far as, you say, he had the teeth of a used cigarette. I mean, this is an excerpt from that same video, and this is a really good example of how brainwashed these women actually were. This is a woman in that video talking directly to David Berg.
And on the first take, I was masturbating to you, and when I came, I broke out in strong tongues. I couldn't control it. And the last few words were, "Father, I love you."
God.
Fill me with your seed, Jesus.
I mean, can you imagine just walking into this cult for the first day and you're like, that's who you think is hot?
Then you're like,
what do you...
I'm a 10 here.
I guess that, Ron Jeremy is considered attractive by porn standards.
It
I don't
actually
know.
probably keeps men in the cult. That's the whole idea, is you're trying to keep the whole society together. David Berg is the epitome of sexiness. Then, we walk in there.
Well, the vast majority of cult members never saw David Berg in person.
No.
All they knew about, they rarely even actually saw photos of the guy. Usually the only thing they saw him from was in those illustrated Mo letters, where he would draw himself as, your classic concept of God, pretty much. Bald head, long beard. Either he'd do that or he'd draw himself as a lion, like a man with a lion's head.
A man with a lion's head. It was very interesting. And that's also how you isolate. You create the myth. Yeah. Well, I was reading this article about Prince, and they were talking about how Prince knew that from early on. It's like the less he said about his inner workings, how he did stuff, and the less he told people around him how he did stuff, the more mysterious he was, and it attracts people to you because they want to know. They want to investigate the mystery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And David Berg knew that instinctively, being like, if I isolate myself, I create this gigantic utopian version of myself, and then it helps you, because it's easier to masturbate to a fantasy than to a real spinely old man with fucking horrible wine breath and stained fingers.
Yeah.
Now, of course, not all the members of the Children of God went along with all this bullshit. Unfortunately for those members, most of them were teenagers, because there were a lot of kids that were growing up, especially in the late 70s and mid-80s. These were kids that were born into the cult, what they called second-generation kids.
And it's very interesting. The cult became really unstable when the kids that were born into the cult started becoming 13, 14, because they started becoming of a normal mental age where they could reason for themselves, and started being like, this is really fucked up.
Yeah, their parents are batshit insane.
Yeah, so they started fighting against it. It's very cool. It's kind of almost like the Who song came to life. It was like a Who song that come to life, where the kids took over, except they didn't.
No,
yeah, and then of course they go and they fall in love with the Who, and next thing you know, Peter Townsend's arrested.
Oh God,
the whole thing's falling. Can these kids just can they just be with a normal person once?
Yeah, these kids, when they were rebelled, they were sent to what the cult called teen training. Teen training happened in secluded camps, usually in third world countries, the worst of which was in the Philippines, where rebellious kids would be subjected to public beatings, starvation, seclusion, being tied to their beds at night, and public humiliation. The most unsettling practice they had at these camps was the use of a crude elastic device attached to the ears and the corners of the mouth that physically forced a smile, a device that they called the smile machine.
Well, I actually like that, because
it comes down to it. Smile on the outside first, and then you start smiling on the inside.
It takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown.
And with the smile machine, it takes no muscles to smile. And you know what I think is interesting? Again, I'm not going to say that this may be inappropriate. It'd be kind of fun to give some of the people who've given our podcast 1 star the smile machine, so that they can enjoy something.
Just smile. You're listening anyway. My favorite. I've listened to all 300 episodes. It stinks.
So by 1978, there were plenty of people who were understandably not on board with the whole prostitution, incest, pedophilia, abusive road the cult was walking down.
You mean nerds.
Wow, I can't believe they weren't on board.
Yeah, so Berg instituted the RNR, or the Reorganization, Nationalization, Revolution, to purge those members who objected. In that same year, down in Guyana, Jim Jones would lead over 900 people to their death in the Jonestown Massacre, leading to a huge public backlash against cults that had been steadily building since the Manson days. Because at that point, like, cults were kind of scary. You know, the Manson family, they were billed as a cult, but it was more of a hippie type thing. And the Jonestown Massacre, that was when people really started to realize that this whole cult thing, regular people could be taken in with it. You know, it was, your sister, your brother, even your mother or father could be taken in by these cults. So there was a huge national backlash.
Of course, doomsday cults are going to end in a doomsday.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. They have an ending built in.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, really, the Children of God are kind of, they're more of a reformed doomsday cult.
Well, yeah, because he stopped doing the doomsday thing as soon as he realized, I could just fuck everybody.
Oh, I see. Then life goes on.
Yeah, then you realize it's because then you could fuck until the sun explodes. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Dad was a real sexy guy.
I've heard the Raiders are great. Now 11-2, I believe. Last year, much worse.
I guess you could call a group of men having sex with their children a group of raiders.
I guess
Bringing it back.
I know. We have to bring it back.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Technically, he did a good job with that, but it's this episode.
Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
is the episode.
And it's about to get worse.
Oh, okay. Good,
Yeah.
good,
Now,
great.
Berg, as he would do again and again throughout the years, saw the writing on the wall, faked a disbanding of the cult to get a little heat off himself, and changed the group's name to the even creepier Family of Love.
That's like going from Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, much scarier.
But by 1978, the Messiah of the Children of God had already been born, a little guy named Ricky Rodriguez, a.k.a. Davidito.
Poor Davidito.
Yeah. So this is where it gets rough. Well, it continues to be rough.
Yeah, it's going from sandpaper to Stegosaurus's back.
I love the Thagomizer.
Yes.
So in 1974, when Berg and Zerbe were still experimenting with flirty fishing, Zerbe reportedly had sex 137 times with 18 workers at the Bel Air Hotel where the group stayed. About this, Berg said,
Those sexy men are crazy about Maria, especially the smaller ones. And the janitors, they are the sexiest of all. So sexy, you could call them criminals.
I think I might call them criminals. That's a physical feat. She's a real athlete.
137 times.
That's
You
a
know
lot.
what? Actually, in my head, the first thing I thought of was, how happy were those hotel workers?
They were extremely happy.
It was just one woman.
Yeah.
And it's just 18 guys.
Yep.
So you're looking around. You're looking at what is that? 38 balls?
That is 38.
How many-
I'd say
is that
somewhere, but to be honest, probably 37. Right?
Maybe 36. Yeah, you gotta imagine one's losing.
One's a Hitler in there.
Yeah. Kind of
And
a
those
Tyson type.
guys, that travels, I imagine, through a hotel's like gossip chain.
Quick.
Yeah, but what do you? Hey, come quick! There's one downstairs. She's taking all of us.
That's hotel workers, right?
Yeah, I guess
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, Zerbe eventually got pregnant.
No way.
And somehow pegged a waiter named Carlos as the father.
Well, they played the not it game, and Carlos was the last one to say
He
not
just
it.
showed up late because he was stuck in the bathroom with diarrhea.
Why are you guys all raising your hands? Not it.
God. I'm the Padre?
Now, the book of Revelation says that at the end times, 2 of God's prophets would emerge to battle and eventually defeat the Antichrist. And according to Berg's interpretation, one of those would be his wife Karen, while the other would be not Berg, but little Ricky.
Oh, that's nice. He gets a promotion.
It's kind of fun.
This decision came from Berg's obsession with the number 7, which also plays a huge role in Revelations, as we all know. First 7 in Ricky connection was at the time of Ricky's birth, Berg weighed 77 kilos.
That's 77 bags of cocaine.
No, I was just thinking about that. That's a lot of coke.
Next, Ricky was born in the 7th hour of the 7th day, if you consider the beginning of the day to be 6 a.m. and Saturday to be the end of the biblical week.
I'd say that's fuzzy math.
That's
That
fuzzy,
is fuzzy
math, but it's kind of true. 6 a.m., you could say that's the beginning of the day.
No.
Why? Technically, midnight's the beginning of the day.
Well,
What?
no, 6 a.m.
No,
is the
but
beginning of the day. At midnight, it's still night.
Midnight is technically the next day. That's why I never understand when people say it's really early morning, they mean 3 in the morning, but I say that's really late at night because normally I go to bed at 3 in the morning. But that's just because that's fuzzy math. It depends on what airport you're in. That depends on what business you're in.
Yeah, 6 a.m. is not the beginning of the day. 8 a.m. When do cartoons start on Saturday morning?
That doesn't happen anymore. That does not happen
it
anymore.
does.
You are ancient. That does not happen anymore.
8 a.m.
Furthermore, Ricky was born on January 25th. 2 + 5 = 7. And the bill at the end of the hospital stay came out to 7,000 pesetas.
And it also went to 7 different creditors before it was eventually not paid.
Oh my God! It's like the end of the movie Clue. It's just this is madness.
It's fuzzy math.
It's fuzzy.
It's very fuzzy math. Now, even though Ricky was not Berg's biological son, he got around this by saying that David was Ricky's spiritual father and not just his, quote, flesh daddy, as he referred to Carlos.
That's
as.
me now. That's my new name.
You want to be
Flesh
Flesh Daddy?
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, but to my friends, I'm Skinny Daddy.
Nah, you're flesh daddy.
Yeah, you're definitely Flesh Daddy.
I would
no way is anyone calling you Skinny Daddy.
Yeah, I don't want to call you flesh daddy, but I want to call you skinny daddy less.
Okay, less than that. So you're talking about, so you want me to call me Flesh Daddy 1/7 of the time, and then Skinny Daddy 1/14 of the time. Fuzzy math.
I don't know if any of that works out.
And Carlos, by the way, skipped the fuck out of there as soon as he realized he wasn't just having fun gang banging the crazy American woman.
Well, do you
there
know-
was actual religion involved?
Did you put there's one story of what happened. So Carlos did not know he was a father. When he showed up, Kathy went and got him and said, I have to show you something miraculous.
Yeah, this is in the Mo letter, Life with Grandpa.
And he does not know he did not know what was going on. They go to a hotel room where he did not know David Berg. The door's opened by this old man. He's like, Carlos, Flesh Daddy, come inside. No clue what's going on. They walk to see a baby's crib and he's just like, you're the father of our new savior. No clue that this woman that he's just been banging on the side, he is a hotel
Him and 18
maintenance.
other guys.
Yes, and they all know that they've been having sex with her. He shows up. This woman is like, you're the father of the prophet. And he's sitting there, and David Berg pours them all a glass of wine, and he's just like, okay, now let the sharing begin. He tried to get Carlos to molest his own son and have sex with with his wife in front of him in the room. And Carlos waited till he finished the glass of wine, and this is true, and then got the fuck out of there.
He stood up and said, "No vengas a mí con eso."
But the penalties in the NFL, I feel like Goodell's got to loosen up the rules a little bit. You know, it's really hurting the game.
But this is true. Is that Carlos, just in a world of just can you imagine that? This is why Tinder's gonna end in this. You're the father of the prophet. The 4 words you don't want to hear at the end of a date.
Definitely not.
And that is true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a story that he told in the Illustrated Mo letter, Life with Grandpa, because this whole Illustrated Mo letter, it was Berg talking to little Ricky, who was asking about Daddy, why am I brown? You know, he's like, why am I brown and you're white?
Well, you just be like, don't worry about it. John Leguizamo will explain this to you in a Netflix special, and you'll relate to him.
Or my childhood friend Eric Rodriguez. I remember we were like 5 or 6 years old, and I remember saying to him at some point, I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, why are you browner than me? And he said, because he had a tan really young as a baby.
Yeah, it's because you're like the whitest of all the races, Henry.
Yeah,
I'm brown.
Polish, Scottish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pink. Technically, I'm pink. So this was his explanation. God just used Carlos only to fuck Mama so that I could have you. He was just like an instrument or tool that Jesus used to help create you for his kingdom. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, Berg compared himself to a farmer, saying the crop belongs to the one who tended the soil, not the tools. He told Ricky,
A penis is like a plow, and a woman's womb is like a furrow, in which the man plants his seed. I am like the farmer, and you are like my little crop.
You know, this is just, it's fun. It's a good dinner. It's a fun family dinner. But I gotta go chew gum.
Dickie, my son,
what
am I doing right now?
You are holding your cock.
And while all of that does sound extremely fucked up, extremely inappropriate,
Yes, it does.
it wouldn't even come close to what would be written in the book that would obsessively document every detail of Ricky's first few years on this earth. Clocking in at 762 pages, the story of David Ito is perhaps one of the most disturbing cult artifacts that still exist to this day.
I think a good way, if you really want to like ruin Christmas this year, like let's say you're having problems with family and you really want to ruin it, print out a gigantic PDF copy of the story of David Ito and just start reading it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. I would like to print it out and then put it inside of a Harry Potter book. And then just be like, have you read Harry Potter?
You would be put in fucking Guantanamo Bay.
And then my mom would